So when the judge comes along with the clipboard, the fish starts performing. People who don't do that, the fish are sitting in the corner hiding. Keep that in mind if you show fish. It's a secret. Hey everybody, welcome back to Florida Exotic. I'm standing here with a 5-gallon tank. We're going to cover today what different things you could put in here, quantities, size of fish, because you don't want this to turn into this. So obviously you don't want this in your tank. So today what we're going to do is kind of cruise the farm, go to some tanks and say, okay, on this size fish, this type fish, can you put that in that little 5-gallon and what you should put in that 5-gallon. So here we go. These are the same type of pseudos we were just in, just a smaller size. Now, what would I put in that little 5-gallon tank? Actually, I would put maybe this many. And what I would do is I'd make sure that I'd have a nice little air zone in there. Then you're gonna have to be particularly careful of your feeding, because when something goes wrong in a 5-gallon tank, bam, it's done. When you got a 10-gallon tank, a little bit more can go wrong. You got a 20, a little bit more can go on. A 25, when you get up to 175, something really major has to go on. You're going to notice it way ahead of time. But you could overfeed a 5-gallon tank and come back an hour later, they've all done their business, the tank fouled out, and they're all dead. So keep that in mind. For example, I'm going to show you fish in a minute that you certainly wouldn't want to have in this tank, not only because it's not good for the fish, but it wouldn't work out in the long run. So this you would not want in this tank. As nice as it looks, you wouldn't want it.
And what is this?
This is an Impimbi frontosa male. And it would not be happy in this little tank.
So in theory it could live there, but the filtration, it would just be a total, utter headache.
It would be a headache if you didn't know what you were doing. Now, let me show you another fish. Could you put this fish in here? Sure you could.
Holy mackerel, what is this?
This is the Phenochylis star sapphire male. Sure you could do this, but I wouldn't recommend it because, like I said before, you overfeed this, somebody overfeeds this one time, this water will become toxic to this fish immediately. So unless you want to put a really nice big filter on here, I wouldn't do it. It's not good for the fish. Don't use it. This is not the proper tank. Everybody loves peacocks. So yes, here's one male peacock. Let's put him in there. Well, he can live there. He's going to be a little freaked out right now. He can live in there. Depends who's feeding him. If somebody taking care of him, feeds him. You can
so in a 5-gallon, how many, like with a lot of maintenance, how many peacocks would you put?
One in there because of aggression. If I put another male in there, we walk away, 5 minutes later, come back, one of them's going to be shredded.
Okay.
You could put this little dude in here. You could actually put him in there with him because he's not going to bother him. They're not going to bother each other.
Are you going to tell everybody what that little dude is?
That's a red, long, not short fin,
bushy nose and cistrus.
And see these little things on his face?
The little barbels.
This is a male. And this is how he messes with the eggs because he's the one that takes care of them.
Perfect.
Okay?
Let's check out some angelfish.
All right.
It was at this moment he knew.
So let's suppose you started off this tank with 5 little angels. Well, here's what they can turn into. Now, would you want this for your fish? The answer is no. So what I'm telling you is, the 5-gallon tank has a place, but not for something like that. So let's keep going, see what else we can do with it. So here we've got some redfin caudos. These are a Tanganyikan fish, kind of a shelly dweller. And you could put some in there with some sand and some shells. You can put 3 or 4 of them there. If they pair off, you'll have a pair in there. But the other 3rd or 4th fish is not going to be happy in there. Now here you've got, I think, a couple of, this is a Kendali. Now, you could put 2 of them in there small.
And these are Tanganyikan fish.
This is a Tanganyikan predator. Now you could put 1 or 2 in there like this, but in about 3 weeks, this guy will clobber these 2, and you may end up with a fish this big, but whatever. You still got them in a 5-gallon tank. Now, there are nano tanks out there set up for small fish specifically. Shrimp, neons, things like that.
Guppies, little tetras.
You could put some Tanganyikans in a micro tank. Gold ocellatus, Sumbu dwarfs. But you have to remember, If they pair off, you got 4 fish in there, and there's 4 fish, and you got a paired off fish in a shell, you're either going to get the other fish clobbered and dead, or you're going to get them sitting up in the corner and you're never going to see them.
So Rick, so let's talk about, give me 5 species that you would absolutely never attempt to put in a 5-gallon aquarium.
You would never want any of the Haplochromis group, like Haplochromis almorii. You would never want a buco-nodo. You would never want a champ trout, which gets to be 13 inches. You would never want any of them. You would, I don't know. You wouldn't want, but let me say, I know Glenn's going to probably cut this out, but you know that people who show fish, they will take a fish and put it in a 5-gallon tank. They know what they're doing. They have good water. They have good, and when they take this fish to show, they may take the same fish to show for 5 years. And you know what they do when they feed them? They feed them with a clipboard in their hand. So the fish gets used to running up and down the glass. So when the judge comes along with the clipboard, the fish starts performing. People who don't do that, the fish are sitting in the corner hiding. Keep that in mind if you show fish. It's a secret. This is one of the fish I just mentioned that you would not want to have in your 5-gallon tank.
What is this?
This is a buco-nototania.
Yeah. They're a long, slender fish, and really they like to swim.
And this fish will get 10, 12 inches, easily.
Yeah.
Do you think you could put this in there? And by the way, this is healed up Dave the Dove-Eye, who by the way, is going to soon have a Diane the Dove-Eye. Look how look how well he came out. He is, all right, but do you think you'd want to put him in that tank? We won't even put him in there now because we know what would happen. Dave would have back in the hospital nursery with cuts all over his head. So no, Dave wouldn't go in there. Hey, we snuck into Tamla's area and she's not around, but Joel, keep an eye out. And this is a fish, you could put this one fish in this tank, for sure. And it would be okay.
What is this?
I think this is her red fin compressiceps. This is a little male. Here's another one. And you could put this in there. And let me just tell you something. Depending on what you want to do, I mean, there's hobbyists out there. There's fish fanatics. But let me ask you a question. Do you want to check the pH every day? Do you want to check the ammonium levels every day if you're doing this? Do you want to know exactly how much food, or you want to enjoy this tank? So if you want to enjoy this tank, if you're going to start off with a 5, let's say your kid wants a tank, put something in there. He's not going to walk in one day and start being in tears because all the fish are dead. How about some neon tetras in there? How about some zebra danios in there? That'd be cool. And you could put guppies in there, and actually they would breed in little guppies. You can start off, but you remember, you're going to have to watch it. If your kid's feeding it, you're going to have to watch it. You go in there and there's a whole pile of food in the water. You better immediately be ready to change the water. So what are you going to do? You're going to have 2.5 gallon buckets of water that are ready to go. You're not going to have to take the chlorine out. You have an emergency. Take all the water out, dump all the water in. Busted. I have to drive home with her today. Oh my word, here she comes. Go over there and look at her.
I told you
again.
we weren't supposed to be in here.
Look at those
I know.
arms. Look at that look. What are you doing over here?
You're in trouble.
I am.
Anyway,
We discussed a 5-gallon tank. Maybe what we'll do next time is do a 10-gallon tank. Then we're going to do a 20-gallon tank. Then we're going to do a 40-gallon tank. Then a 50 and a 125. And you're going to see the difference in what you can do. And like what I always recommend, people say, what tank should I start off with? What should I say always get the largest tank you can afford to do the first time, because you don't want to walk in and see everything you have that you thought was precious and your pet's dead because you have it in a 5-gallon tank or a 10. If you want a 5 or a 10, pick out, let your shop dealer tell you exactly what you can put in there. Trust them, go with it, and take care of them. So anyway, thanks for being on the farm. Please subscribe, like us, send us some comments. If I said something you don't agree with, tell me. I love to hear that stuff. And we'll see you all next time.